Welcome to Old Stuff is Better. It is. I'm not going to get into that about what we've been doing this week, but wanted to show you, a little bit about what we're going to be doing here. It's the little stuff, okay? If we don't show something on this channel here on how to do this Falcon build, and you're wondering about what little part did you use here, what'd you do, there's always other YouTube videos, okay? Don't be like the guy. I'll just give you an example. It was an early Comet. The video is several years old, and he's trying to put a 289 with a C4 in. And long and short of it is, he finally gets this thing in after bashing the firewall with a sledgehammer. And you see a bottom view of this thing. He's got the wrong transmission mount in, and then all of a sudden you see that and Comets, I guess, had the 6 cylinders had a cross member. So he's still got the cross member in, he's still got the steering in, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And then he says, well, I got to make motor mounts, and you still see the 6-cylinder motor mounts sticking in there, and they're so I had to shut it off. My IQ was going down. You just I'll tell you, people, just do it right. It's the little stuff that when you take it to a car show, people will admire you for doing something correct. Not only that, it's not going to maroon you on the side of the road because you did something halfway. So no halfway stuff here, okay? Old stuff is better, but don't do stuff halfway. Anyway, so what we're going to do is tomorrow we're going to be putting in the fuel line, master cylinder, the brake pedal, because now it's going to be an automatic. So we're taking out we already did take out the clutch and brake pedals, and you saw that in a previous video. So. Anyway, so that's going to be the start of it. Tomorrow we'll dive into it, and we'll go from there. All right, so here's what we're going to be doing today. This fuel line here was the front part to the V8 Comet fuel line. Okay, it's different because it goes, you'll see the 6-cylinder fuel line. Sorry, I don't have a flashlight here, but it's coming in underneath the car, and it exits out right behind the shock tower. Okay. Well, that's not going to work on a V8, not unless you want to do something really bad and run a hose all the way up to the fuel pump, which is bad. So anyway, I cut the fuel line off of the Comet, and we're going to section that back in underneath the car, make it look factory and professional, because the factory line comes in and it attaches to the sway bar mount up here so that you can get to the V8 fuel pump. It's the little stuff that matters, guys, the little stuff that matters. So we're going to be putting that in today, and then obviously we got the corner cleaned up here. It was really gross. Had to repaint that all, used some self-etching primer and the satin black to clean that all up. And so we're going to be mounting steering box in, master cylinder, pedals, everything like that. So just kind of follow us along today. So I'm a stickler for originality as much as possible, but the 63 brake light switch was mounted on the master cylinder, and they were failure prone and stuff. So as you see here, the 65 pedal set, Ford moved the switch to the pedal, which is where it is even today. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to the wiring harness up here. We're going to find those 2 wires, and there they are over there. It's the top ones. There's 2 wires. I'm going to go ahead and snip those, and I'm going to I cut this harness off in the Comet. I'm going to tie those up and tie them into those 2 wires up there. And so we're just going to make that an internal switch instead of an external switch. So a little change we're going to make. All right, so I didn't want to bore you with the process here. And yes, it's a pain getting under here because I've got the seat moved back. We're going to eventually take the seat out anyway, but I've got it shoved back so I can get under here. So what I've done was, and the wires are the same color code too. And that's a great thing that Ford did for years, was same color code wires for a lot of stuff. So anyway, and I've saved the clip here, and I got to figure out where I want to actually attach that. Now I want to point out here that I've used heat shrink connectors. If you're still using the old non-heat shrink connectors, don't throw them away. Problem is, the wires, if they're moving even the slightest bit, the copper can break off, and then you end up with a bad connection. So these heat shrink connectors, they actually seal the wire, and they prevent the movement going on in there, so it's not going to break. So anyway, that's updating it to the new internal brake switch, which is, I think, a good upgrade for this. So we'll deviate from factory in that way and go with just a couple of years newer. Okay, so we're cutting the factory fuel line off, and then we'll use a compression fitting. We could use flare, but compression works fine too, as long as you clean the pipe, both of them spotlessly, get them clean. And the compression fitting on both sides works good too. I also noticed too that the brake line for the rear brake line for the 6-cylinder is going to be too close to the exhaust. So we're going to be relocating that. I need to relocate it anyway because I need more line for that rear brake line to be able to get to the master cylinder. There's our dual master cylinder there, and it fits just fine. So that's out of a 67 Mustang with front and rear drums. So yeah, get that all on there, and we'll show you the finished product when we get it all bolted together. All right, so here is the spliced fuel line, and we used the factory bolt that was in the Comet. Something I also did was relocate the brake line. It was coming clear over about here, and that would have been too close for the V8 exhaust, so went ahead and put these on the other side of the speedometer cable and punched a new hole there. And actually that worked out good, because then we could just rebend the line a little bit and it went right into the master cylinder. So yeah, things are coming together really good. So
what do you mean conversion? It was always this way. What are you talking about?
It was always this way. Yep, so just a little bit of re-engineering, but trying to use all factory parts and everything like that. So now the fuel line, you notice, comes out, well, it comes out around here outside the frame rail, and then comes up here and attaches to the back part of the sway bar mount. It'll actually go between the sway bar, the C-shaped mount for the sway bar and the frame. That's how that goes. It doesn't go underneath the C-shape, it goes underneath. So anyway, that's that. All right, so this finishes up our day today. Just taking care of the small stuff. Got the steering box in too. And I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but the deal is with that, you're like, well, what's up with the lock nuts there? So the deal is the 63, I showed this in another video, the 63 bolts holding it in were smaller in diameter. These are 7/16 and these are 3/8 bolts. Don't quote me on that. My dad's better at it than I am. Anyway, these will appear like they're going to screw into the box, but these are what the 65 box takes. So we couldn't drill out the frame because it's got strange gusseting going on inside of the frame. So better yet, we just used longer bolts and used self-locking nuts on there. So that holds the box firmly. So we got the box in, we got the brake line in, we got the master cylinder on, pedals in. I got the other Shelby drop done, and so that just takes care of a lot of the minutia of the little stuff here. So anyway, may have to take that brake line and drop it down. I'd like to keep it away from the engine, so I'm not really sure what we're going to be doing with that. May or may not do that, I don't know. And may have to make a brake line for the other side to for the front brakes attached to the master cylinder. So we'll see how that goes. I gotta run to the store, pick up a special fitting to do that. You guys, it's about the small stuff. You don't do the small stuff, so take a look at this, where I put that brake line there, coming up from the back. If you don't move that, you're gonna end up with, on a hot day, you're gonna end up with a spongy pedal or no pedal, because the brake fluid will boil. By the way, I use .5 silicone brake fluid in all of our stuff. The other thing that I've still got to do, I'm not going to do it today, is I've still got to enlarge that throttle pedal hole right there. It's got to be enlarged for the 65 throttle to be able to fit. So anyway, that's it for this video. Appreciate you guys. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. We're just doing this for you guys for the build here, and just show you how to do it correctly. So with that, old stuff is better, because it is. We'll talk about that sometime too, about why it's better. Anyway, have an amazing day.